Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Irreverent Therapists. And boy, are we. I'm joined, as usual, by the wonderful Pamela Hodling.
Hello.
Hello. And today's edition is, what are you sick of? Do you ever wonder if there's more to being physically sick than just the viruses going around? Do you need to slow down and rest? Are you sick of the crazy rat race and your body is tired of the stress? Or are you sick of worrying about money or what's going on with a family member or with politics? What if identifying what you are actually sick of can help speed your body's recovery? So, what are you actually sick of?
I love this topic.
I find it very helpful to ask that question since I know both of us have been physically sick in the past month or so. Mm-hmm. I think you have been in the past month. Anyway,
well, my daughter was. Yeah. Well, and what it makes me realize is so often when I go and do very like energy changing, life changing classes, it's not unusual for me to get home from that and have some sort of cold, flu-y thing going on. And one of the tools I learned a long time ago is to ask, is this part of the change I've been asking for? And I can remember one time, I was in bed, I had the achies and the, feeling sick and blah, blah, blah. And I started asking, is this part of the change I've been asking for? And it was such a clear yes. And then it's like, I still had those symptoms, but I had ease with it.
Yes.
And it resolved really quickly because I was acknowledging what's actually going on, which isn't, I got exposed to a germ and, got sick. I mean, that could be part of what's going on. But that acknowledgement of I'm asking for a lot of change and this is my body's way of shifting and changing some things just really creates ease and space for me. And then I'm just like, okay, I'll read a book, like cancel my meetings and let this just ride.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing a little tangential thing here because this whole question is as part of the change I've been asking for. So it also applies to when you have the grumpies and call up Pam and this isn't going right, this isn't going right, and this is terrible. And she's like, Marilyn, is this part of the change you've been asking for? Even if I don't have the physical symptoms of a virus or something like that, it's like, oh, yeah, I think I need to slow down. There's this phrase I learned from a certain kind of therapy that I used to do called turbulence at the boundary.
Oh,
and I love this because basically it's like when you hit those rocky places in your life, there's a lot of white water. And that is turbulence at the boundary. And that, for me, is what I create or gets created or whatever when I'm going through massive change.
Yeah.
And it often shows up as the flu, or as you said, or I had a weird virus. No, I don't even know what it was. I had this stomach thing going on. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of change in my life right now. I think I just need to rest for a few days.
Well, I think so often, we learn tools and we're changing things and we're thinking, as long as I use these tools, everything will get better all the time. And it can be really uncomfortable to change a lot.
Yes.
And, and that uncomfortable can show up as, like you were talking about, I'm kind of grouchy and stuff, or, your body having some things going on, or just being really uncomfortable and not at ease. Yeah. And, I think if you acknowledge that this, first ask, is this transition? Is this change and transformation?
Yeah.
And if you have that, yes, then it's about asking, well, what can I do that will contribute to my body? And what can I be that would contribute to my body or contribute to having more ease? You have a clearing you use a lot, which is the one about settling out with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you say that one?
Yeah. What ESCC, MMMPPP can my body and I be that would allow everything with blank to settle out and come to fruition with total ease?
Yeah.
And it can be a relationship issue. It can be a financial issue. It can be anything.
Yeah. Well, and let me just say that ESCC MMMPPP is energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, possibilities, power, and potency. I think that's all. I don't usually just say it. I do the initials like you do. But you're basically asking for all of that. What can I be with all of this that allows this to settle out with total ease?
And another thing I really wanted to bring up in this, because we can identify, oh, I'm worried about money, or I'm worried about my daughter who's really sick, or I'm worried, it's so easy to do that. But the thing that I found recently is that I create this stress with my fixed points of view. I never realized how much I actually want a predictable future and want things to be solid. And recently, I did my mother's been dead for, I don't know, 5-6 years now, I think. But I recently just closed out some things with her estate and went to a friend's house and spread her ashes. And then I have a friend whose dog just died, and and a few other things came up. And I'm like, these things were fixed in my universe.
Yeah. And
having them go away, it's like, and I would have said I was a person who was really flexible and open to change. And, and I am more than most people, actually. Yeah. However, identifying fixed points of view that you have that you're using to stabilize your life can be part of what creates the stress.
Yeah.
That creates the dis-ease. Yeah. We'll just call it that.
Yeah. Well, and, we've been talking about, okay, if your body's got, some sick symptoms going on or something, here's some questions to ask. It goes the other way. If you're coming home from work every day saying, I am so sick and tired of this job. I am so sick and tired of this boss, like whatever it is, the things in your life that are annoying you or that you're actually ready to be done with and have something different. When you're saying to yourself, whether it's in your head or to other people, I'm sick and tired of this, guess what? You can create being sick. You can create being tired. Your body will go, oh, okay, let's get sick. And, so that's another thing. Like sometimes, our body's giving us messages and saying, yeah, I'm aware of what you're thinking and I'm creating it for you. This gets you out of work for a few days.
Yes, because your point of view creates your reality.
Yeah. So I was going to say, what if you actually let yourself notice when you're going to that, I'm sick and tired of it. Maybe it's the politics in the world. Maybe it's, your relationship, whatever. What if you instead start looking at, well, what would have to change here for this to work for me?
Oh, what question? Say that one again, Pam.
What would I have to change here for this to work for me?
Yes.
What can I be and what can I do to create something different? And, depending on what it is, you might find that there's more possibilities than you've allowed yourself to think there were.
Yeah. Well, and I really like that. What I have to be or do to change this? Because most people just go to the do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot in the being. Yeah. I've noticed, when Pam says, is this the change you've been asking for? If I go, oh, I can choose to be space.
Yeah.
I can choose to be happy. People are like, what do you mean you can choose to be happy? Happiness really is just a choice. It is. And it's about not making yourself greater than whatever you've decided is greater than you.
Yeah.
And knowing it's a kind of this too shall pass. But it's also just, I like being happy. What if I chose that?
Yeah.
What is grumpiness, complaining, and all of that? What's that creating? If you go into a restaurant, you're just, what kind of service are you going to have? I have changed the service, the food, all kinds of things in restaurants and changed other things just by being happy. Hi, how's it going? What's up? I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah. I had a time recently, it was early in January. I was flying somewhere, and I think my flight was supposed to leave that area. It was a connection supposed to leave at 2:30. At midnight was when I finally bailed, because they kept every 30 minutes. They're like, it's delayed. And it kept looking like it would go and looking like it would go. And then finally the person at the gate was like, because somebody was like, I need to know and tell my team, are we going to be able to do this thing or not? And he was like, the gate person was like, I would probably cancel your thing. I was like, I'm out of here. But it was, I was happy. I was in a good mood. Everyone I interacted with, I was pleasant and cheerful and asking them how they are and how's their day going. And this was a time where the entire airport was having flight problems. Mm-hmm. So everybody was unhappy, almost everybody was unhappy and delayed and trying to find hotels and, and all this stuff. And, luckily I got to be at a lounge for a big chunk of that. Uh-huh. And I went up to the lounge person and said, can I have your name? You have been so kind and helpful. And I just want to write somebody and say thank you. And so she gave me her name and her supervisor's, email. And I could have been a grumpy, angry mess the whole day. I would have had a bad day. I would have not everyone around me would have been having a bad day. And instead, I read a book I really enjoyed, and I was completely happy until I wasn't. And then I was like, I'm tired, I'm done. And I went to a hotel.
Yeah.
So
I love that, because that really is a choice. And you gave a beautiful example. Mm-hmm. I just want to do tangential again, because I was once in a similar situation. I was in Denver waiting for a flight to Albuquerque that cancel. And finally, after 2 hours, I just went up to Lady. I said, look, I'm exhausted. I came in from Europe. Is it okay if I get a hotel and change my flight till tomorrow morning, even before it canceled?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, we can do that. And it just made my life easier.
Yeah.
So always ask questions.
Yeah.
I once sold a house, and it came in. It was a good contract, I thought. But I'm like, I want a little bit more money. So I said to the broker, would you ask them if they'd up at $5,000? And he said, I'll ask. And they did. So asking for what's going to work for you is a really important thing to go along with. What are you sick and tired of? Hey, boss, could I have a raise? Or is it possible for me to do this? Or whatever it is.
Yeah. So asking questions, and especially asking about what's going on. What am I aware of? What am I sick and tired of? Is this part of the change I've been asking for? Is there something more to this than I'm letting myself be aware of?
Yes.
Anything like that can help you have more space and have the awareness of it's, because we tend to narrow in when things are uncomfortable or not going our way, or our bodies have stuff going on. So anything you do to expand that space and ask some questions allows you to create something different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Allowing yourself to be in charge rather than being the effect.
Yes. Yes. Because you might say, oh, if all the planes are delayed and there's blah, 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 there's nothing I can do about it. But you can completely do something about your experience with it.
Yes.
And you can probably get people to really help you if you're not being a grumpy asshole.
Exactly. Yes.
I think that's a good place to end.
I do too.
Okay, so I will cue the music. Thank you, everybody.
Till next time.